Breaking news! One of the most shocking trades in recent NFL history has rocked the entire league, and, believe it or not, could have major consequences for the Baltimore Ravens. No, Baltimore wasn't directly involved in the deal, but the ripple effects of this devastating move are already reaching the walls of the Owings Mills castle. It's a turn of events that changes everything, not just for the traded player, but for the future of the Ravens on the field, in the front office, and possibly even in the locker room. But before we continue, be sure to like this if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages cheering for this team. And if you feel like it, comment, "Go, Ravens," to show the group you're in the know. Now for the full story. Here's the truth. The Micah Parsons trade is a game changer, and not just for Green Bay. This deal doesn't just remove Parsons from Baltimore's radar, it fundamentally alters how the Ravens approach the future. Just last week, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped a little nugget that made ears perk up in Baltimore. He believed the Ravens were one of the few teams that could be on the radar for a trade involving Parsons. Now, whether that was inside information or just a well-informed take is up for debate. But here's the thing. If the Ravens were even remotely interested, they were thinking big, championship big. And it makes sense. Parsons is in a league of his own. He's the only player since Reggie White to rack up 12 or more sacks in each of his first 4 seasons. That's not just elite, that's generational. Imagine pairing that production with the defensive core already in place in Baltimore. Picture it, Parsons lining up next to Roquan Smith, backed by Kyle Hamilton, and coming off the edge opposite Odafoa or Kyle Van Noy. That's not a defense, that's a nightmare for any quarterback in the league. The Ravens could have just called the league office and asked them to go ahead and etch Baltimore Ravens on the Lombardi Trophy. But now, the dream is dead. The Packers got their man. Parsons is out of reach. And while the idea of trading for him meant coughing up serious assets, probably a player and multiple first-rounders, the potential payoff might have been worth every bit of that price. But let's pivot for a second and be real. The Ravens already have a trio of edge rushers they believe in: Odafoa, Kyle Van Noy, and the newly added Malik Ham. And there's one name among them that could quietly be poised to take over as Baltimore's future dominant force on the edge: Mike Green. The organization is extremely high on Green. There's genuine belief inside the building that he could emerge as a foundational pass rusher for the next 5 to 7 years. That's no small praise. But make no mistake, the Parsons trade still affects the Ravens in several key ways. First off, it completely reshapes the market. Micah just became the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, signing a deal worth $47 million per year. That's $6 million more than the next guy, TJ Watt, who was previously sitting at the top of the edge rusher mountain with a $41 million annual salary. This isn't a small bump, it's a seismic shift. And here's where things get complicated for Baltimore. Odafoa is entering the final year of his rookie deal. Last season, he put up 10.5 sacks, his best performance yet, and he's added over 20 pounds of muscle this offseason. If he takes another leap and hits the 15-sack mark, you better believe he's going to want top dollar. But can the Ravens afford him? That's where the trouble starts. Baltimore is juggling a lot of potential paydays. Kyle Hamilton just got his money. Contracts for Isaiah Likely, Tyler Linderbaum, Travis Jones, and, of course, Lamar Jackson are either locked in or looming. If Owa breaks out in a big way, there's a real chance Baltimore simply won't have the financial flexibility to keep him. It wouldn't be about talent or desire, it would be about dollars and cents. And in that reality, this season might end up being Odafoa's last in purple and black. But the implications of this trade don't stop at contracts or hypotheticals. There's also the very real, very cold road game on the Ravens' calendar, Week 17 at Lambeau Field. That game was already shaping up to be a late-season slugfest, potentially with playoff seeding on the line. Add Parsons to the Packers' pass rush, and suddenly, you're staring down one of the most ferocious duos in football, Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons. That's not a problem, that's a full-blown crisis for opposing offensive lines. And let's not forget, that game's in December, in Green Bay, on primetime. You know what that means. Freezing temps, national spotlight, and now an elite defense trying to get after Lamar Jackson. No, Lamar's not bad in cold weather, but even the toughest quarterbacks can struggle when the wind is whipping and the pocket collapses in under 2 seconds. This isn't a guaranteed loss. As long as Lamar Jackson is under center, the Ravens can beat any team in the NFL, but let's not pretend the road just got any smoother. Alright, let's pick up right where we left off, because there's still a lot more to unpack here. The decision not to pursue Micah Parsons, whether by choice or circumstance, could end up being one of those moments we look back on with either relief or regret. If Parsons becomes a wrecking force in Green Bay, and let's be honest, he probably will, and the Ravens fall short in a key playoff game due to a lack of edge pressure, there will be second guessing. That's just the nature of this business. You're always one player away from a different destiny. But even if Parsons wasn't a realistic target for Baltimore, this move still forces the Ravens front office to reevaluate how they're structuring their defense long term. Because now, the edge rusher market has exploded. Players like Odefoa, who are already flirting with breakout territory, will soon be commanding top-tier contracts. That $47 million per year number isn't just shocking, it's the new bar. And whether it's Oa or another young pass rusher, Baltimore will have to decide, pay up, or develop the next one. This is why the Mike Green signing might end up being more important than anyone realized at the time. He's not just a depth piece, he's insurance. He's the next man up if Oa prices himself out of town. And based on early internal buzz, he might be ready to take on that mantle. If he can carve out a meaningful role this season, even as a rotational edge rusher, he sets himself up to be the long-term solution opposite Kyle Van Noy. That kind of foresight is exactly what separates good front offices from great ones. Still, let's circle back to Week 17 for a second. That matchup against Green Bay just got so much more dangerous. Not only is it late in the year, when injuries, fatigue, and playoff pressure are all piling up, but it's also in one of the most unforgiving environments in football. Lambeau Field in December? That's a different kind of cold. And when you throw in a pass rush featuring Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons, that game is now a high-stakes war zone for Baltimore's offensive line. Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, and Morgan Moses are going to have their hands full. They'll need to be perfect, because the Packers aren't just looking to make a postseason push, they're gunning for the NFC title, and this move signals that in flashing neon lights. Parsons doesn't get traded for 2 firsts and a Pro Bowl interior lineman unless a team believes they're close to the mountaintop. So, expect that game to carry playoff energy. And speaking of playoff energy, you know what elite pass rushers do in January? They change everything. Just look back at recent postseason history. Look at how Tampa Bay overwhelmed Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 55. Look at how Philadelphia terrorized quarterbacks last year. In the playoffs, it's not always about which team scores more, it's about which team pressures better. That's why this Parsons trade matters. Even if Baltimore avoids Green Bay in the Super Bowl, they're still going to have to contend with this domino effect. Because now, every top-tier edge rusher will want to reset the market. Agents are licking their chops. Contracts are about to balloon. And that could tighten Baltimore's already razor-thin financial flexibility. Oa's contract year, Green's development, the need to keep players like Linderbaum and Likely, they're all part of the same puzzle now. Every dollar matters. Every decision echoes. And the Ravens are officially on the clock. So here's the real heart of the matter. Baltimore has built one of the most balanced rosters in football. They have a superstar quarterback in Lamar Jackson, a dynamic backfield, rising receivers, and a defense stacked with game changers. But they're at a crossroads. Do they go all in to keep this core intact, even if it means overpaying for someone like Oa? Or do they trust their developmental pipeline, stay disciplined financially, and prepare for the next wave? That's not an easy question, because no matter what, you're taking a risk. Overpay, and you lose depth or flexibility. Let someone walk, and you risk losing production you may never fully replace. And in a league where one play, one pressure, can decide a season, edge rusher value has never been higher. And finally, here's the wild card.